Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis. We're going to be talking about Zack and Tifa's new banner, new weapons, new costumes, and I want to talk about near the end of this video. When I do these wishlist videos, they show you the best setups for that current costume and weapon, but they don't really talk about things that you could put in between, replacements, right? You guys should emphasize your builds on what you have available to you and not just what's the best. If you're new to the game, then yeah, follow this wish list and put in what you get in those polls will really help you, but you've got to be able to adjust on the fly, especially when you're using two DPSs that have the same element, physical, right? They've got to share a lot of these sub weapons, and then these builds get taken apart and you're like, well, this doesn't work for me anymore. So I'm going to give you a little bit more advice in this video, because last night on stream a lot of good points were brought up and I'm thinking, okay, how's the best way for me to throw this into these videos without over complicating it, because there's too many situations in this game, too many different enemies, too many different events, right? What works against Bahamut and Ifrit fight will not work in Battle Tower, so and so will not work in this event. So I'm going to give you a little generic blanket of what to do when it comes to those situations. But let's review the banner first on Tifa and Zack. Coming in first, we're going to rock on Tifa because her setup is absolutely amazing. Costume wise, I like everything about this except for the feathers that look like they're glued onto here and it can just blow off, and this weird breastplate. It just seems like it didn't need to be there, and this would have been a beautiful costume. Still is, still fantastic. Everything about it is really, really nice. It just looks really random to have just one breastplate there. But we've seen that design before in other characters, in other games, and other genres and all that. So we're not going to talk about that too much. But talking about the costume, it has boost HP, buff debuff extension, which at first glance is like, whoa, what's going on, right? It is a situational setup. This is not something you need to pull for right now, especially a brand new player. You need to be focusing more on two major DPSs with a solid healer that can raise defense of magic or physical. But Tifa is a unique character where she's a very good DPS in many places, in different elements, non-element, but she also has a lot of utility in her build. Is it necessary to go for this? Only if you're a day one player whale who needs that niche extra HP and extra time to debuff the enemy. This will come into play. Besides that, in 95% of the game, this won't be used, but when it really is needed, it will be needed. It's just not necessary. Again, all R abilities, all costume abilities will combine with your weapons, and you kind of mix match all that to make sure you have enough survivability, enough damage, enough utility, and then you go in. So what you don't get from the costume, you apply it to your weapons and sub weapons. So solid costume design wise, not necessarily at the moment needed. Our abilities, but are fantastic when they do work. Now, when it comes to her weapon, this entire weapon emphasizes, did you pull for Easter Bunny Tifa? Because if you did, you have one crazy DPS on your hand that takes care of herself in multiple categories. It is so good, and this is going to emphasize that elemental builds are going to become better and better against any type of enemy. As long as they don't resist that certain element, it is fantastic, and that's because now we get to buff element damage. We get to buff our actual attack, and we buff our element attack now, making element builds that much stronger, especially because we don't need to rely on the enemy being weak to that element in order for that damage to go through. So, with that being said, Tifa has Feather Gloves. Feather Gloves at OB nothing gives you magic defense down mid, and it gives you water damage up mid to mid. At OB6, it goes to high, and then OB10, it's the same thing high. Magic defense down will only hit mid, but that's all you really need in this content. You don't need to hit that high. And another character that can hit high can just finish that off anyways. So, this is so good, and I want to jump the gun here, but let me slow down and talk about the weapon. It is a physical attack damage weapon, but is emphasizing magic attack. You can see here, magic attack 628. It has an X sigil, water potency, and then a boost attack. Really good to have a sigil on a weapon because a lot of quests need that, and its R abilities are maxed out at 6239, which is huge, not just for her, but for other water characters as well, like your Glenn can emphasize this weapon. So Why am I so excited about this, Tifa? Because if you did pull for the Easter Bunny costume, that was Water Arcanum, and the weapon that came with it was Water Potency. But this Bunny Gloves, the previous weapon, increases magic attack from low to high as you're doing damage. It has boost magic attack R abilities and water potency. So you get boost attack, boost magic attack, double water potency from both these weapons combined, because that's what you're going to be using. And on top of it, you lower magic defense and increase water damage. Tifa is a self-sustained DPS. Everything is built in her kit, which is crazy good. She buffs herself in both attack and water attack. She debuffs the enemy's magic defense, and she's rocking 850% water potency with an Arcanum costume and the perfect R ability setup on her setup alone. Not even trying to go for the 3 sub weapons in the back. She is a fantastic DPS. It is so good to see this. You don't have to bring in another character to help her. She just does it, and she will do damage while buffing herself. It's so good to see. So Tifa, if you guys did have the Easter costume and you have this and you're going for this, you now get to wishlist more of her bunny gloves during this, making her very, very powerful. And if you are new and you missed the Easter costume, pulling this costume will still help you because it's got buff debuff extension. She buffs herself, she debuffs the enemy, and you don't have to recast that, making those bunny gloves. Because a lot of the thing was like, okay, Tifa can buff herself from low to high with the bunny gloves, but then it drops off. This now increases that by 60%, meaning you don't have to worry about that DPS loss. You'll be at high magic attack longer, water attack longer, and magic defense down longer, so you don't have to keep recasting these abilities, and you can just focus at doing that 850, 850, 850 on the bunny gloves while surviving. So this costume really works if you don't have the Water Arcanum costume. In its own way, it does sort of raise DPS because you don't have to keep recasting all that. Now, when it comes to her wish list, you're going to bring in Noble Collar for the rest of the boost attack and water potency. You're going to bring in Crystal Megaphone because there's not a lot of water potency boost attack weapons. It's only Noble Collar and her new weapons, but this will bring in boost magic ability potency. And then you bring K-Sif's other weapon, the Green Megaphone, which boosts magic attack and water potency. The only other weapon besides Tifa that has these R abilities. And if you want survivability, you can use Serpent Eater or Matt's Water Sword here, because it does exactly the same thing, just Matt's is 5 magic weaker, which is nothing. And you also have Glenn's, but Glenn is emphasized more in physical attacks. You'll lose 100 magic attack, but you'll get the same R abilities. Then you can also use Tifa's Power Souls for survivability, because it does bring in boost magic ability potency, which is still helping it in the DPS while doing surviving and rocking 640 magic. So those are options for survivability, but I'd be rocking Tifa's new gloves, her bunny gloves, and then Noble Collar, right, into Megaphone. That's your 5 weapons on Tifa for the majority of the content, and then you switch survivability by bringing one of these in and take away one of the boost attack ones. So which one do you main hand? You are going to main hand bunny gloves because you need more boost magic attack. Right? If you bring in bunny gloves in the main hand, you get 46. All you need is 9 more points to max this out, which comes from Kate Sif's Megaphone over here. And we're using this instead of Sun Umbrella because we want the water potency, only because the gloves say water damage is increased. So the more water potency, the more water damage you're doing, the more that is going to emphasize. But I believe it still works with the boost magic ability attack stance that's on this one. So Sun Umbrella can work because this still increases how much damage you're doing with that water attack. Now, that being said, the total is going to have fully boosted magic attack, fully boosted attack, and you're going to go up to, with this build, even though Bunny Gloves only has 26, you're going to take that 26, times that by 2 19s here, right? Because you're going to get 19 points water potency from her gloves. You're going to get another 19 from Noble Collar, and you're going to get another 19 from Water Boost, bringing you to a total of 83 water potency. That's 110% water ability damage up. So with her Arcanum costume fully maxed out, she is going to be killing so much content, even if they're not weak to water. great choice to go for, especially if you have the Easter. And if you don't, just getting those 2 weapons, the OB6 plus, and especially the bunny gloves, the OB10, you're going to have a crazy DPS that's going to carry you for a very, very long time. So that is Tifa. Tifa is a great choice. So remember in the beginning of the video, I was talking about how like, okay, you don't have these weapons. You can't wishlist this perfectly. Your wishlist didn't come out good when you're doing the draws. You've got to go look at your setup and change it to help that character be that much better. Or if you're using 2 water characters or 2 magic characters on the team, they've got to share a lot of the weapons, right? So weapons like Shinra Blade over here, Heavy Hauser, the Mithril Sword, the Rapier for HP and boost magic ability potency. Sun Umbrella is a really good one because it's got double damage there, right? You've got to be able to have these weapons in that section as well to min-max between characters, right? A lot of different choices here, and a lot of these are staples, especially Sun Umbrella, very big one, right? This is going to be able to let you bring in that double party and let them share. Like an example I have here is I have a double non-DPS or non-elemental DPS team, meaning these 2 characters have to share a lot of the perfect builds that I talk about. And the way to keep them up with a lot of attack while keeping their setup strong is that I bring in weapons like Killer Hornet, Enemy Launcher, Automatic, Shinra Blade, right? To make sure they hit all those boost attack, physical attack, right? Boost ability potency, boost physical ability potency, because these max out 55. These 2 characters have to share those R abilities. So you can see Cloud's missing in boost attack. I have a better setup, I just haven't put it on yet. But you see he's maxed out on boost physical ability potency for his non-elemental build. You sometimes got to share that double ice, double water. So you need those back weapons to really help you out. You can't just, you know, this is the wish list, this is what he told me to pull for. You've got to see what's in your setup and just put it on there. Another example is my lightning cloud, right? I could put all lightning weapons to have high lightning potency, but my cloud would drop from 5,000 physical attack to like 4,000. Losing 1,000 attack just to get 1 level in lightning doesn't make any sense, right? So I'm at 70% with 5,000 instead because I'm using stuff like Automatic. But Automatic still boosts my physical ability potency, which helps with DPS. Same thing with Shinra Blade, boosts his ability potency. Right? So even though I don't have all those thunder weapons on there to make that lightning as high as possible to emphasize his costume and his main hand thunder weapon, I have other things to really increase this, and he does crazy damage because of it. Until my lightning weapons get better, then I'll put those lightning weapons on there. For now, these are those gap fillers in those team setups. So when I talk about Zack now, keep that in mind. Whatever you can't wishlist or you don't have or you didn't get good luck on, look at your setup and fill in those boost attack for physical, for boost on normal, both magic and, or the attack stance potency. You've got to have weapons that fill in those gaps. All right, so when it comes to Zack's costume, I'm not a huge fan of it. Zack looks fantastic no matter what he wears, but there's just something about this costume overall that, it's not terrible, but it's not something I'd go out of my way to put on him, especially with the long neck and everything. I know what style they're going for. I just overall not too impressed by it, right? Sword though, sword looks really cool. Lots of different details, very thick. This thing's definitely like a blunt / sharp weapon. You can use this as a baseball bat or crochet or whatever it's called, right? Overall looks really, really interesting. Not something I'm trying to like put all my money into, but again, this is one of those situations where, you know how Tifa's armor doesn't have a boost attack or magic attack on it? Glacier armor doesn't have it either, but it is an Arcanum 35% ice ability. Huge, really, really good, but it comes with buff and debuff extension, right? In this case, it's giving us 10 points, which puts us at 40% increase on anything Zack does. Both Tifa and Zack are those characters in the game where they are DPSs, but they carry so much utility that this is very, very valuable in both their setups, right? So this is actually really good to see Arcanum mixed with something else. I would have preferred survivability like HP, but with Zack's build, this does make sense, making this costume very solid Arcanum because we have weapons that fully max out our boost attack. So putting 5 boost attack there is only good for the beginning of your builds, but as you get more over boosted on all the weapons, it becomes a dead stat. And that sucks. So them taking away the boost attack and magic attack off of Arcanum builds is actually really nice to see. Now, his weapon is very, very good, but unlike Tifa's weapon where she buffs herself, debuffing an enemy usually comes to situations. Is the enemy immune to that debuff, or does the enemy even have that weakness? So Zack's weapon, Pressure Ridge, what it does is it does at fully maxed out 620 physical ice damage, which isn't the highest, but it isn't the worst, because when you mix Arcanum and increasing your ice potency high, Zack is going to be hitting like a truck no matter what. Especially with the content in the game right now, we don't need that 850%, the 750, 900% potency, right? Especially when Zack brings in ice resist down from mid to high at no overboost. So with overboost 6, it does high potency ice resist down. So the second he puts that ice resist down, that 620 is not going to matter. He's going to be hitting for tons of damage, right? His materia slot, he's got an X sigil and 2 boost attack 20%, which is really, really good. And his R abilities are fantastic, maxing out at 62, which is all you need for physical attack, and ice potency 39. Very strong R abilities. Giving Zack's weapon an Arcanum costume, making him a major DPS, but he can also be that sub DPS with great utility while dishing out tons of damage. So Zack overall weapon I think is great for himself. For other characters that are ice focused, like the limit break, what was it, Cloud? Cloud was ice. You can use this if you don't have Lucia's gun and stuff like that, right? So great setup overall. Things you want to wishlist with this, he's got multiple setups. So Zack's offhand weapon, his main hand weapon is going to be the Pressure Ridge, right? You're going to max out boost attack and 39 points into ice, already making him a beast. Now you got to grab the rest of the boost attack. But what does he put in his offhand? Does he put his Zweinhinder for that boost attack? You can if you just need that and you have other weapons to mix and match. But if you want to emphasize his costume for buff and debuff, and also while adding a lot of good things, choices like Ceremonial Sword here, it will be a dead stat for boost attack. Unless you're someone who doesn't have OB10, fully 120, right? Then mixing these two together is going to help you get that max boost attack just on him, but also applying the boost physical ability potency at 39 points, which is 19, giving you 30% increase, and we're going to mix that with another one. But you also have 1400 non-elemental damage in cases where you need it, but he also increases his own physical attack to high. Mid with 1 copy, OB6 is high. So self-sustaining DPS. Very, very good, right? So that's a very good option. Run the new weapon in the main hand, this in the offhand. Or you do Twinkling Star, which again, there's a survivability that you need for the harder content, and you get the boost physical ability potency with him having fully maxed out physical attack, and you're going to have tons of ice potency. This is the next best thing to put on there. But we're going to emphasize that buff and debuff again. Twinkling Star is going to add magic attack down, which is very useful in many fights, while also physical defense is decreased. So debuffing the enemy's defense and their attack, making Twinkling Star a great choice with the perfect R abilities to go along with this. And now if you want to emphasize pure ice potency, just like the previous Tifa build before the new weapon that just came out, the heal potency is not going to be really used there. It is going to help with this, but it's that boost ice of 52 while also putting on any ally physical defense up with the regen. So when you face like EX1-2 Bahamut, where he does that single physical attack damage, while you're DPSing with his ice build, you can now protect one of your teammates. So your DPS or sub DPS brings in utility that also emphasizes his damage. So Defender is another very good choice here. So with all that, we've got maxed out physical attack, 39 points in ice. We don't need much more to go any further, but we do need boost attack in these builds. No matter which one we choose, we're missing boost attack. And your 3 back weapons are going to be Air's Silver Staff, boost attack 46, ice 39. Clouds 46, 39, so you're at 46 boost attack, and then enemy launcher here is going to bring the last bit you need. You only need 9, this is going to give you 15. You're at max boost attack 55 points, and you get more physical ability potency at 52. That's 26 points. So if you end up running either of these, right, the Twinkling Star or the Defender, you're going to be at 45. right? Giving you 70% increase in damage. Really very, very good setup to put back there. So that being said, you're at 39 points of ice potency. If you're not using that defender sword, you're going to get another 38 here, bringing you at well enough boost potency, right? We're going to be at 39, 38, giving us 77 to 100% ice potency. If you use the defender, you're at 110 to 120 depending on what you do. So Zack, very good setup to pull for. If you want to do this banner where you grab her weapon and you don't want her costume, put Zack's costume there instead for the Arcanum, and hopefully you get lucky for his weapon. Mix and match or go for both of them. These are really good banners. If you like Zack or you like Tifa or you already have part of their setups built, very good choices to go for. Hopefully this video just helps you with wish listing, choosing how to build your characters. These are great. You can't go wrong. They're not even limited, so you can fully max these out without weapon parts, making these fantastic choices, especially Tifa's, if you have her Easter costume. Let me know what you guys are doing if you're pulling or skipping. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.